My name's Siobhan. I'm a violinist and a resident doctor. Just graduated from medical school. Welcome to my channel. This is a vlog about my experience as a junior doctor, both good and bad.
For those familiar with our next guest, that intro is something you'll have seen before. Known on YouTube as the Violin MD, Siobhan Deshauer is a first-year medical resident right here in Hamilton at McMaster. But her journey into medicine has become unique for sharing her experiences through her YouTube channel. Siobhan is here to tell us more about how she started in medicine and how YouTube has become a part of her journey. Welcome to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
You're really good on your vlog. This is my show, so don't. It's a pleasure to meet you. Where did the idea come from?
I mean, that's a great question.
Like, YouTube is huge, and it can be a scary place to be, and you took on the challenge.
Absolutely. I mean, certainly never expected it to become something like this. So this was not the intention. Graduating from med school and realizing that I was starting this daunting, kind of scary journey as just becoming a doctor, I wanted some way to document it. And I started trying to write down things or do a blog, and it never seemed perfect enough. But somehow, just talking to a camera, I was able to just start putting things out there. And I guess the second part is that I wanted to actually be able to show what medicine is really like. It's not all Grey's Anatomy and Dr. House. And
really? Or Dr. Kildare?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Wow, dating myself again. So you grew up in Ottawa, you completed your undergraduate in violin performance at Indiana University. I know we've got some things here, some clips.
It's the same thing as a unit, it's the same thing as a floor. It's how we talk about parts of the hospital. So on one ward you'll have
so
a group of
you
patients,
thought, let's take the everyday life in a hospital. We're going to put it on YouTube, but I want to take you back in time. So you do the violin. I really was hoping you'd bring the violin today to the show. But you give up, and obviously from what we saw and heard, you can play the gosh darn thing. But there's obviously a moment in time where you go, this isn't my future. I want to do something else. What's that moment in time? What's that spark that says, no, I'm going to go to med school?
You know, even now, when I take the time to think back and find that moment, I don't know in life if you can ever find that exact moment that drew you somewhere. I think these things grow. And somewhere when I was doing this music undergrad, this spark of an interest in medicine started growing. And it almost felt like at a certain point, I got to a place where I felt comfortable with violin. I was able to express myself the way I wanted to. It's almost like at that point I was able to start thinking about some of the other dreams I'd had, and I feel really, really grateful that I didn't have to choose. Music is something that will always be a part of my life, so now I'm able to play as a violinist, continue to perform, and I also get to be a doctor, so I really feel grateful for that.
Yeah, you can drop back and do something you love whenever you want to do it. You can use it on your YouTube channel, which you started last year.
That was just, I guess, this past July, just about 8 months ago.
Last July? And you thought, okay, if a couple hundred people tune me in, that'll be great. And where are you at today?
I think I'm at 63,000 subscribers now.
Wow.
And at first I was just trying to get my mom to watch it on multiple computers to get the views up. But
Can City Matters piggyback onto yours?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. All right, we've figured out the technology real easy. So it's gone crazy. Now, what interests me about what you're doing is you're seeing real life. You're in there. You're mucking about, and you're seeing things, and they're not all happy things that you're seeing, and you're trying to convey through YouTube real life, real medical emergencies, real. What's the word I'm looking for? Real medical parts of our lives. We come to the hospital and we expect you guys to fix us. But there's a whole experience interacting between you guys fixing us and us guys getting fixed. There's a whole bunch of things that go on when you go to the hospital.
Absolutely.
So you're trying to convey a lot of that stuff, which I commend you for.
And there's a lot to that. And I think I started out with a certain idea of just telling my side.
Yeah.
But through the comments and the way that I've been able to interact with people, it's given me an insight into some of the things that people want to know about, like interactions between other healthcare providers. So what are things like, what is our interaction like with nurses? Or what are some of the challenging moments when I have to deal with losing a patient? Or what do I do when I don't feel sure about myself? So people have wanted to know these questions, and it's helped influence the type of videos that I've made. So it's almost been a collaboration with my viewers.
So we do have some clips
Oh.
from the vlog. So one of them, what are the toughest topics to cover through your videos? And I think you were just touching upon it, that talking about death is very difficult. Let's roll that.
Last night, I went to one of the most horrific codes that I've ever seen. There was blood all over the floor. This patient, I didn't think they were even going to make it to the ICU. They did make it there. We did everything we could. We resuscitated. We spent hours working to get this patient back, but they still passed away. I know that's part of the job. I know that's what happens, but that wasn't the only thing. There was another patient who needed to get intubated in the middle of the night, which I did. Had to get central lines in. Another person who wasn't making any urine anymore, which meant that we had to start dialysis on them that night. Like, it was probably one of the craziest, busiest nights I've ever had.
So difficult stuff.
Yeah.
You know, recently we went through one of those weekends. And hey, recently I had to go and get some pictures taken of the lungs. And we had the former head of the Ontario Nurses Association here not too long ago on City Matters, and I said to her, I would never want to be in triage. Would never want to be the point person of handling everything that's coming in. And as you know, what's been going on in this city, when you have 5, 6 ambulances piled up at St. Joe's, at Mac, at the General, and police, etc., we're facing some crises in our health system. But I'm going back with the question of, we only see the surface, and you're living the real experiences and you're sharing them on your vlog, which makes them very insightful for people who may not have had to use the hospital any time recently or only get their information from television shows.
Absolutely.
Sometimes I don't ask questions.
I'm agreeing with you.
I know.
This is one of these things that, one of the things I'm hoping to do is to be able to give a context. Not that medicine shouldn't continue to strive to be better, to continue to make our system better, absolutely. But it is a collaboration, and to understand both sides I think is helpful.
We've got another clip. And then I'm going to read some of the interactions that you've been creating. And basically the clip is about having to respond to a code blue.
So I was just at a Code Blue where I was doing CPR, and it was a patient that was in droplet precautions. So it was a really, really tight mask, and you can see how red my face is, and that's actually from the pressure of the mask, and it's really hard work, so I really worked up a sweat. Anyway, amazingly, this patient pulled through, and to be honest, most codes that I've been to where patients' hearts stop or they stop breathing, most of them don't come back. So this was a really amazing thing to see and to be a part of.
Yeah. Ups and downs in a hospital, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's like an emotional roller coaster.
Now at 63,000 followers on YouTube, but you're generating a lot of chatter. And here's one from Brian. I have never had someone impact my life so much through the internet. No matter what kind of day I am having, you always manage to brighten it up and make everything seem like it's going to be okay. Thank you so much, and keep up the vids.
Yeah, I mean, things like that make me excited to keep making videos, and on those Friday nights where maybe I'm exhausted and I decide to stay up probably too late to be able to get my videos out every Saturday at noon. Those are the kind of comments that keep me up and say, oh yeah, I know, I want to do this. I love doing this.
The journey through the medical profession, is this the toughest time? As a young doctor, as a resident, you're working emergency, you're working intensive care, you're working long hours, and you're learning stuff as you go along that isn't in the textbook.
Oh, absolutely. It's a ton of mentoring. It's a ton of these long hours. And I don't know if it's the toughest. I'll have to let you know in 5 years when I'm done some of the training. But I think along the way, each step has its own challenges, and right now just a transition going from medical student to being a doctor, having that responsibility, prescribing and feeling responsible is one step, and I'm sure I'll feel another huge weight of responsibility when I have that independent practice in 5 years.
You don't sound like somebody who's going to drop what you're doing on YouTube, and I look at you and what you're doing and I go, psychologically, this is a great place for you to blow off some steam.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, if you work a 14-hour shift, but you just saw something that's inspirational, this is a great place to get it off your chest.
Oh, I can't agree more, and that's something I didn't anticipate.
Yeah.
Like the benefit to myself, you know, you do something thinking that you're going to give back, but the impact it's had on me, a way to process and to connect with others. Through these videos, I've been able to have conversations that have normalized a lot of maybe the struggles we have in residency, and people have come forward and talked to me. So I really, really value that. And even that one of those last clips about death that you brought up, I actually wasn't planning to put that on YouTube, and it was just sort of like a personal journal in a way, and it just felt so important that I decided to in the end. So it's been really useful for me.
A little catharsis.
Yeah.
So where do you go next with the violin, and where do you go next with the medical career? What's tomorrow hold?
Yeah, you know what? It is an evolving process. I would never have expected to be sitting here with you 8 months ago. So I feel incredibly fortunate.
A lot of my guests say that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, it's pretty surreal. It's fantastic. I would say I certainly want to continue. I want to continue to be able to do this demystifying of medicine and find ways to collaborate with different people that you can give a voice to, and to hopefully spark something different in the public's view of what medicine is, what it's all about.
Siobhan, you're a dynamic character. I hope you'll come back to the show.
I would love to. Thank you so much for having me.
More conversation down the road. Thank you so much for being here, and keep it going on YouTube. You're doing a great service. After the break, a seasonal reminder from the fire department and what they found visiting Hamilton homes last summer.